Hello, this video tutorial is about finding reliable journals in your field. This conversation is longer and really there are many aspects to it. I do not expect to cover all the angles during this video tutorial, but at least give you some general recommendations and rules of thumb on how to handle this question. So I think that you're on the safest territory if before you decide what journals to use, you look up the research databases that are made available to you through the Kortrade Memorial Library in your own area of expertise. So from the library homepage, if you click Research Databases, and then you choose your subject, which in this case will be chemistry, you see here there are some best bets would be Web of Science Core Collection, which I already covered in the video tutorial, but then there are others as well. That might be of secondary or tertiary interest to you. Most of these are periodical databases, meaning they publish periodical literature, but some of them are not. Some of them are, for instance, Canopy. This is a collection of films and documentaries. So if you're looking at this list of databases, I'm looking at Biological and Agricultural Index Plus, an EBSCOhost owned database. And the thing is, with EBSCOhost in general, they do have control over the journals they publish, but they also publish a lot of open access journals in order to increase their journal pool and to show that they have an offer, a bigger offer than others. Which is why, although most of what you will find here will be reliable, you still need to keep an eye out for potential low quality research. So whenever you're using a database, this is just one of them, and I'm just using the same keyword. You see, if you look at the academic journals and the peer-reviewed journals, here's scholarly peer-reviewed journals. One thing you should know is that although these are peer-reviewed journals, the designation peer-reviewed is not attached by someone else, but is a self-designation of the journals themselves. So the journals inform the databases if they practice some form of peer review or not. We do not know what the quality of peer review is, but it is the best tool we have available so far in dealing with the question of gatekeeping and quality. So now looking at the results here, you see that almost everywhere you will be able to see the title of the journal where that respective article is published. For instance, the American Journal of Botany. If you click on the article title, then you're able from here to jump directly to the journal itself. Now, this is one way in which you can have maybe a deeper look at the journal that publishes that article. A general rule of thumb is to look for journals that have been around for a long time. Journals that are less reliable or that are predatory, I will talk about that in a couple of minutes, have generally not been around a very long time, or if they are around for a while, then they are unmasked as being low quality or predatory, and then they disappear. So usually articles that journals that go back 15, 20 years or more tend to be more reliable. In this case, as you can see, you can browse back to 1983, which is the year range that we cover here at Otterbein, but this doesn't mean that the journal only started appearing in 1983. The journal itself might have an older life. So this is usually a good sign. It means that the journal has been around a long time. It is important to look at the publisher. If the publisher is a renowned academic publisher, Wiley Blackwell in this case, this is another index that this might be a reliable journal. And now looking at maybe other examples, we're going to click on this journal. This is the Journal of Food Science. Again, looking here at the years that are covered, we see it goes back to 1983. It is John Wiley and Sons, again an academic publisher. These are all good signs. One thing to understand with many of these databases, if you find articles you like, you might be able to find them in full text, or as in the case of, for instance, this one, request this item through interlibrary loan means it is not available in full text electronically. This journal is called Environmental Reviews. Now, Environmental Reviews goes back to 2006. It is owned by the Canadian Science Publishing. While we do not know that much about Canadian Science Publishing, one way to go about it would be to do a Google search for this publisher to read more about it, or to see if there have been any kind of stories about reliability or maybe retractions around this journal, around this publishing, that might shed a questionable light on the quality of the journal itself. So this is one simple way in which you can go about finding reliable journals that publish research articles in the area of chemistry through this gateway, databases, and then browsing through this list. We do also offer access to some other indexes, Science Citation Index, Science Reference Center. Some of this I've already covered. We also offer the access to the directory of open access journals. You might be able to find articles that are published in open access journals. The issue with open access journals, so sometimes I'm going to go back here to D journals. They're here. In general, DOAJ, as it is acronymed, is a reliable source. The thing about this database is that this collects open access journals from all over the world. So some journals are published without charging a fee, and some journals are published by universities in order to open themselves up to a broader readership. This is a different model than the traditional model of research databases, which usually contract journals, prestigious journals, and pay for offering access to their content, and they charge the users. So it's a model similar to, if you want, cable television. Just as cable television contracts different television channels and offer access to a number of TV channels, so do traditional databases offer you access to a number of journals. It is different with DOAJ because these are free journals. Most of them are being vetted, and most of them are without APC. APC is a fee that sometimes is being charged to the author who gets his or her work published here. Now, why is that relevant? Because one of the common practices in recent journal publishing, especially predatory journal publishing, has been to charge the author of the research a fee for having their research published. This is not a common practice. There are some legitimate journals to do that are struggling financially, but I would say in general, try to steer clear of journals that do perceive an APC. And in this case, in the case of DOAJ, they even make a distinction between all the journals that they offer access to and those that do not perceive this fee. This is a great resource that contains lots of journals. Use it. You will find some in the area of chemistry, but use it with a grain of salt and with some care. Trying to search for the journal title, see how long has it been around, who is the publisher. Now, another resource that I would like to show you is a website called Beall's List. Now, Beall is a librarian who was very enthusiastic about finding predatory publishers. Jeffrey Beall. And really, predatory publishing has taken off in the last 25, 30 years. As more and more universities have started streamlining funding and support for their research based on the numbers of articles published in peer-reviewed journals and in index journals, a lot of researchers have started looking for possibilities for getting themselves or their research published in peer-reviewed journals. And this is when there was an explosion in the number of peer-reviewed journals that appeared overnight, not all of them offering an equal quality in terms of the peer reviewing, so the gatekeeping that they were doing. Some of them were better, some were worse, but the idea was that it was a business model for the journals themselves because they could charge a fee to the researchers, and for the researchers to get their work published so that they could get tenured and bring more prestige to the university that thus could apply for funds. So it was in a way a system that encouraged the development of a lot of predatory practices. And that's when Jeffrey Beall started keeping a list of potentially predatory publishers and journals. This is the website that he keeps. You can look here. Here is the original list. There is an archived list of the journals themselves. Down here at the bottom, you get to see also the list of publishers. There are indications on how to use the list. Here, yeah, you can search by the publisher's name, or if not, you can look in the list of standalone journals. Some of the useful pages, there is a link here to Journal Evaluation Tool. This Journal Evaluation Tool was created by other librarians at the Loyola Marymount University. And if you look at this tool, you can download it. It's a very short article that contains a rubric called Journal Evaluation Rubric. Looking at this rubric might give you an idea, again, about what is good, what is fair, and what is poor. Use this as well with a grain of salt. The JCR Master Journal list takes us back to the Web of Science and to the list of journals indexed there. The database Web of Science is pretty good for making sure that scholarship published here is reliable, because they tend to index only journals that have a high degree of reliability. Not all of them are so. For this reason that the Shanghai University ranking uses Web of Science as its main source for indexing journals, because Web of Science does a good job at indexing reliable journals. So you can use this here as well. You can find this search journals also using our own database list. So when you're looking in chemistry, Web of Science core collection, you can do the same search here. So you can use this database also to search for good research published in reliable journals. One last thing here, Beall's list also offers a link to the DOAJ journal list, and in general they're keeping a good monitoring of the Directory of Open Access journals, so that you can always see what journals have been added or removed, because with the Directory of Open Access journals, those journals that are proven to be, let's say, predatory, or over which there is a cloud of suspicion hanging, then they get removed. And Jeffrey Beall and Beall's list does a good work at informing them, monitoring, and working hand in hand with DOAJ to add new journals or remove journals. So hopefully this painted you a fairly general but also useful picture about how to go about finding reliable research journals.